Good morning. We're here in the Wrangell, Alaska Shipyard. I'm Scott Dickerson. Behind me is the Alaskan Gypsy. It's a 80-foot overall triple-masted steel Colvin, Thomas Colvin design motor sailboat. And we're here in the shipyard because we have a case of major electrolysis damage to the hull. And we're here to fix her and make her seaworthy again. She was about to sink in the Ketchikan, Alaska harbor. And I became the proud owner of this fine project, and I'm working away at it with plans to live on her year-round in Alaska. So welcome to the Alaska Gypsy life. If you're new here, if you're one of my old timers, thank you for joining me on the journey. Here's your update for today. I got a big hole in the hull. This is right up into the head, and cut this out yesterday. There's a video about that. Here's the patch that's going to go in it. And I got a challenge today. It's about, let's see what time it is. It's 8:45 in the morning, and here in the Wrangell Shipyard, the paint expert is Don Sorek, Superior Marine. He came over and was kind enough to share his opinion on my project here this morning, and he's not sure if I can get this done today. Getting that plate in there, because I'm hoping to sandblast tomorrow. I got a big shelter built around one half of the boat. The weather is looking decent. If I can get that plate in there and secured and ready, 100% welded from the inside and welded from the outside, I can probably sandblast tomorrow, which would be great, because then I can get my primer on there and I can feel like I'm actually going somewhere instead of just dismantling things. Look at this place. Here's my prop. No rudder, no shaft. Hull still needs sandblasted and painted. Got a lot to do, and the sunset over the ocean last night was so beautiful, and I'm sitting here in the shipyard wishing I was going deer hunting. So here's the reason that we're replacing this plate. Here's the old piece. You can see it had the electrolysis damage on the outside, which we had actually welded a fair bit of it up. That's kind of what it looks like, which is manageable. Okay, but the problem was on the inside we also had some rust going on. The head, there's some bad stuff there. The head on the boat had an anti-siphon valve where all the waste came up out of the toilet, went up through an air valve to get above water line, I think is my understanding. And then it went down and either into the wastewater tank or overboard. Well, that high vent was like a sweeping 180-degree vent. It would tend to get plugged up, or it would get plugged up downstream, and then it would overflow. Try not to think about that too much. Yeah, overflowing sewage into the bilge here under the head. It's the wastewater compartment, but that water would flow down and it would get caught on those longitudinal stringers and sit there and rust. So we had the combination of the electrolysis from the outside and then some rusting wastage on the inside along these stringer points. And that gave us a little cause for concern. So here we go, replacing a section of plate. Fortunately, it's the worst spot on the boat like that I found yet, and we're addressing it in the right way. And so peace of mind will be mine. We've dealt with this problem area, and I'm hoping I can get it done today. Wish me luck. Here goes. The first step I went was to cut my longitudinal stringers. They are 3/8 by 1.5" flat bar, and cutting notches in the ends of them to make it possible to weld all the way around the plate. And also they're called limber holes, and they allow water to drain down, which is one of the problems originally that caused this whole issue. Was there was probably some gaps under the longitudinal stringers, but what happens on steel boats is water gets a little trapped in there for whatever reason. In this situation, it might have been some sewer in with the water. But anyhow, water was not making it down slope under those stringers, so it was pooling up and creating a rust environment. So we put these nice little 45s at the end, so there's plenty of gap there for the water to run down. I had a needle gun inside to help clean up, get that old rust scale out of the way, and each one of these little stringers was slightly different in length, so I'm kind of custom fitting each one as I go along, and they're being welded into the old stringers where they were cut off. There was 3 of them total. They're 16 inches apart, and I'm just getting the last one sort of roughly fitted up here now. So the stringers are all fitted and set aside, ready to go, but we didn't actually put them in place until the plate was lifted up. Here I'm welding a little pad eye in the center of the plate patch so that we could, using a little chain hoist, pick it up into its location. There's the chain hoist coming down. We had a beam just spread across the bathroom floor, and my dad is up inside there winching it up, and now we're gonna fiddle with it, trying to figure out why it doesn't fit for, I don't know, maybe 2 hours of in and out, trying to get the fit, figure out the winch, how to pull in the right direction, etc. At some point in the process, we had the bright idea to weld tabs on the bottom of the patch so that it was sort of self-aligning down there. That helped quite a bit to keep it lined up while we fine-tuned the fit up. The little chain hoist worked great. The plate fortunately lined up pretty flat with the hull, even though it had a little bit of a bend in it of its own. But in and out there. I had to weld the tabs back on because I broke one off prying on the thing too much. But essentially it's just an exercise in repetition. Crank it up into place, see where the problem is at, grind a little bit of metal away, and try it again. It was trying to be careful not to grind too much metal away, because it's pretty easy to take too much away in a situation like this and realize that your real problem was somewhere else that was preventing it from going in. We're obviously pretty close at this point, and just marking with the soapstone the little areas that need just a little bit more taken off, either the hole in the boat or off the edge of the plate patch. Watching this time lapse myself, it's clear we tried this about 30 times before it finally fit in. Now I got the little magnets on the edge to hold it flush, and it's pretty well sitting flat at this point. About ready to start tack welding it from the outside. The plate was a little bit twisted, so when you couldn't get all 4 sides perfect, it would always have one corner that was out a little bit. But here I got my welding jacket on. I must have been thinking we were close. There's the first tack weld, nice and flush with the hull. Just putting little tack welds in there, and then I'll go inside and actually fully weld it out. From the inside there, I'm pounding a wooden post against the ground to push that one corner that wanted to stick out a little bit. I had to put a fair bit of pressure against that one to hold it in while I tacked it. The little 1x2 off the ground actually worked pretty good. We had all the bottom 3 sides tacked, but this top one was still wanting to stick out a little bit, in the middle particularly, so this is where things started to get interesting. Got the 2x6 super lever in there, prying off the ground to pull that last little section up, which worked pretty darn good actually. So now it's fully tacked on the outside, and it's time to go inside. Okay, we got our plate in. Check it out. Looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. It's not perfect, but for a hack boat owner with some help from his old man, I think it's looking pretty good. So it's a beautiful day here. I'm about to go inside with the welder and weld out the inside. We got the outside tacked up pretty well, and I'm gonna get it stuck on the inside so then we can start getting our 100% weld and put our stringers in. Check this out. I can carry everything and the camera at the same time. It's a beautiful sunny day. I'm hoping that things go well, I can sandblast tomorrow. I don't think it's lunchtime yet. We got the plate in, nice and snug. And switching over to welding the inside, so I think as far as getting it done tonight, I think we're on track. Still could be some surprises with getting our stringer in. There's longitudinal stringers, but there's our plate in position. Got my hands full here, sorry. Okay. It's looking pretty good. You can see a little light coming in. Got some bevel on any area that was tight, I beveled it. Any area that was loose, I didn't bevel it, as didn't want any more gap than I already had. So I think I'm pretty well set up for success with this. Got our little ancient chain hoist there, pulling it up. Got it pretty well tacked. Got my ventilation fan going, and I think I'm gonna get another one going too, to put right down by the weld, and should be able to keep it from getting super smoky in here. I got this thing, I mentioned it in another video, but I think it deserves another mention too. Is I just got this thing off of, it's an Amazon deal, but it's a Vevor ventilation fan, and it ain't nothing special, but it's got a little speed control, which I always go full speed, but I can put this thing out a porthole, boom, and then I can run the ventilation duct right where I need. I'll get it set up and show you what it looks like, but it's pretty slick. Okay, about set up for welding. Here's my ventilation fan, so it's just a 4-inch high quality ducting with a foil liner, and I got it strung up over here, coming out, sucking air out of porthole. So got my welder plugged in there to my plug I made the other day. I'm using the Miller Max Star 161S, which is just this tiny little welder, which in a situation like this I love. It super easy to use, super lightweight, super portable, and it'll run 1/8-inch rod pretty much, I think about 100% duty cycle. So I'm gonna start off probably, might do 60-10 1/8-inch, so I'll probably be at about 95 amps, I think. Pretty hot, make sure I get good penetration in there. So here's the work scene, ventilation. Got my ground down there, got my wire wheel, got my rod and my gloves. So ready to get started. It's exciting. Patching up this big hole. I was feeling like I might be there forever, but just cut it out yesterday. I think it was yesterday, day before. 2 nights. 2 nights we had a hole in the boat. Now no more, folks. Here we go. The first thing I did for welding it out was to get a good solid weld under each one of the stringer locations. Before the stringers went in, I wanted to make sure I had good welds in those positions. Now it's time to go down in the hole, get my ventilation down there, and weld up under the stringers on the far side. It's actually not too bad in there, definitely a little cramped, but really nice to have that suction fan going, and also have my dad outside to hand me things when I realize all the stuff that I forgot when I crawled down in there. So status update, just did a little bit of welding, and so these areas here are where stringers will go, the new stringers, and so I went ahead and welded out underneath those while there's good access. So I went around and did each one of those on each side. Get the light here. So using 60-10 rod, 1/8 inch, and it's looking really good. So those are nice and locked in there underneath the stringers, and here's my stringers here. They're all ready to go in, cut and fit and marked. Got the mill scale off of them, so they're nice and shiny. I guess one thing they don't have on them is a profile, which I might just hammer them with the needle gun for a few minutes each and give a little bit of texture to them. I actually have my bristle blaster. That might be the thing to put a little texture on them with for the paint adherence profile, surface profile they call it. So we're moving right along. Yeah, I think it's time we could probably put the stringers in or do a little bit more spot welding around. Not sure which, but it's pretty well locked in place. We got multiple solid tack welds on each side of the plate now, inside and out. The fit looks great, the welding's going good, ventilation's going good. I think we're off and running. Pretty excited. Remember this thing? I made a video about it. It's called the Monty Bristle Blaster, and you can see it's got this bar, and as the wire goes over the bar, it flicks out and it gives you a surface profile on steel, which is good for painting, I'm told. So I'm going to use that thing to surface profile my stringers instead of needle gunning them or sandblasting them, because sandblasting I'm not set up for. So I'm going to put in my earplugs and bristle blast these things and show you how it goes. Okay, what was that, 2 minutes? And I don't know if you can really see that very well, but it's pretty amazing. That thing has really got a lot of texture. It feels like sandpaper now. From shiny smooth metal to really, I'm no sandblast expert, but that has definitely got some surface profile going. It feels like sandpaper. So obviously that'll hold the paint a lot better than nothing, and a smooth surface. So which one was that? It's top. Very happy with the texture that thing is giving me. Not sure if you can really see that from the camera angle, but definitely a nice surface profile texture on there. But I tell you what, this wire wheel is basically shot already. I only used the thing for probably what was that, like 2 minutes each, so 6 minutes total. And pretty much this thing is, I would say, pretty well garbage at this point. It's lost. The ground here is just covered in wires. It's lost basically maybe half of its wires already. Look at that. These things are flinging off all over the place. So that's 6 minutes of use. I think that these wire wheels are now, I think from Monty or a distributor, they're like 40 bucks a piece. So 6 minutes, $40. That's not looking very good. It's making sandblasting look cheap. I don't know if these, it could be that these are old wheels, and maybe the rubber is a little bit stiffened or hardened or shrunk, or maybe the wires are a little bit compromised. When they're flying out of there, they seem like they're breaking. Like the wires are breaking off, I think. So maybe they're a little bit corroded or something. I bought this thing used. These are old discs that were in the case with it, or wire wheels, so that could be what's going on. If you know about these machines, I thought that you were supposed to get like 30 minutes out of a wire wheel, which I could see that. I mean, it seems like a reasonable value, $1 a minute of use, but 6 minutes out of a wire wheel, it's not adding up for me. Glad I have it. Did the job. Those will hold paint a lot better. So thank you, Monty, but either I got to get new wire wheels or this thing's not very consumable friendly. Maybe it's like one of those printers. You buy the thing and then they know you're going to spend 10 times the value of the machine on their ink cartridges. I'm not going to say that yet, though. I'm going to suspect that probably having really old wire wheels of unknown quality could be a potential issue. So. Well, to follow up on that, it's a few days later now that I'm editing this video, and you can see I'm using the bristle blaster again to surface profile that area under the stringers where they're going to go. And I can happily report that I did try one of my stringers that was in like new condition, or not stringers, sorry, the wire wheels for the Monty bristle blaster. I used one that was like new, and I've used it for probably at least 10 minutes now, and the wheel looks fantastic. It's not failing like this older one was. So safe to say those old wire wheels that came with this used unit had been exposed to some corrosive action and become brittle and were failing very rapidly. So that was encouraging. Back to this video, I'm welding the longitudinal stringers in now, just doing a butt joint on the forward connection and then a lap joint on the aft ones. Just made the most sense to do it that way with the way the old stringers were cut out and how they had suffered from some rust wastage, and so lapping them in the stern actually seemed like the most sensible thing. It's pretty awkward getting at this lower stringer. I had to come in from the top to get to it. This type of project certainly makes one grateful for having some flexibility, and I certainly don't want to be doing this kind of work in 20 or 30 years when it's that much harder to weld below your feet. But so with those stringers mostly welded in, then it was time to well, they were welded in on their ends. Now I'm watching this footage along with you and seeing that I'm doing the skip welding on the stringers themselves to the patch plate, which is kind of a nice way to really tie that patch in super well, keep it from bowing, distorting with the heat when I got to doing the bulk of the perimeter welding. Well, I am feeling good today. Yesterday was kind of a bummer day. Cut a hole in the boat the day before. Spent all day and didn't get the hole patched up. Today, it's a little delayed gratification. And here we have it. Got a 100% welded on the inside patch in the bathroom floor. Got my stringers welded in, skip weld with what do they call it, limber holes on the edges so that water can run down there. It's welded all the way along. Welds came out pretty good. Not embarrassed about these welds. I think they're looking okay. And it's mostly 60-11. It's not perfect. I know, it's not perfect. But it's good enough. It's good enough for the Alaskan Gypsy lifestyle. This boat would almost float, except for the shaft and the prop and all the other holes in it. But anyhow, it's welded on the inside. It's time to go grind the outside and weld it on the outside to get it to 100% weld. But I'm feeling good. I feel like this went very well. I got a quiz for you. All you smarty welders out there who know more than I do and give me advice. How many sticks of rod, 1/8-inch rod, do you think it took to weld this patch in? And these stringers, they're welded about 70%, both sides. It's I'll give you a hint, it's 6 foot by 2 foot patch, pretty much. How many sticks of 1/8-inch rod for just the inside and the stringers? Comment below and let me know. The winner will get a shout out in the next video. Sorry, it's not that much, but it's something. Whoever gets the closest without going over, right? Isn't that the way they do it? Closest without going over? Okay, we're gonna go weld the outside. Out here, the patch. There it is. Weld it out from the inside. And now we're gonna cut off wheel, grind it out so we can get 100% weld from the outside too.
Here's a close-up look at the plate patch after welding, or grinding, sorry, welded out inside. The outside has been ground out with a little groove so you can see all the way through to the inner weld.